Hello, my name is John, and today we'll be reading A Day When We Welcome the Blessing, September 22nd, 1978, Kamikawa, Japan, by Reverend Son Myung Moon. Today we have before us two ceremonies, engagement and changing of blood lineage. These are indemnity ceremonies to set a condition through which we can be reborn by true parents. Rebirth is necessary because we are born into a satanic world. A woman fell first, so a woman must be restored first, and then a man must be reborn. Through the holy wine ceremony, we pass through this process internally. 40 days after the blessing, there is a ceremony by which we are reborn in the external sense. Both are ceremonies of indemnity. Through them we go beyond the standard of fallen Adam and Eve to the standard of spiritual completion. After man and woman preserve a position centering on heaven, they can connect this standard of love to the love between husband and wife, and their marriage is established. A woman's beauty is not limited to her face. People generally decide whether a woman is beautiful just by looking at her face. But a face is only part of the body. We have to look at the whole. The face is the third place to look at. Likewise, a man's good looks involve much more than his face. Therefore, you should not say that your wife's face is good or bad. Many beautiful women are deficient in quality of spirit, and a woman of virtue and good fortune may not be beautiful. A woman whose beauty lies only in her face seldom keeps it after 2 or 3 children. It is always interesting to see whether such a woman can retain her beauty after having children. There are various ways of analyzing couples. Just as each person has a different face, likewise people's fortunes are different. Each person's destiny in life is different. If a man's fortune is bad, he can compensate for it with his wife's good fortune. Likewise, if a woman's fortune is bad, her husband's good fortune can balance it. Therefore, matching a couple is like creating a level area out of a mountain and a valley. Many things can be cultivated on plain, grains, fruits, vegetables, etc. This helps us understand that all the many external aspects of a husband and wife need not fit together immediately. The face reveals the personality of an individual. It is important to realize this when you guide people or assign them to missions. Even the nose or ear of a person can indicate his entire personality. God also created animals according to this principle. Take the lion. With his well-shaped front legs and balanced proportion, he is indeed to be worthy to be called the king of beasts. People are the same. When I look at a person's hand, I can understand immediately whether he has talent in sculpture or literature or art, or if he has the hand of a thief. When I look at a person's legs, I can tell whether he can run fast or not. If the spiritual conditions in a marriage are not good, many misfortunes can occur, such as death in an automobile accident. Therefore, please understand clearly that invisible laws beyond your awareness are at work. Looking at a single generation, you cannot tell whether a family will prosper. You need to study at least 3 generations, or ideally more than 7 generations. Even if you think that you and your spouse do not fit together, please live together at least 3 years. Please have confidence and make an effort to unite, realizing that I have followed the same course. Fallen man has never even dreamed of being blessed centered on God. God has been guiding his dispensation until now through religion in order to welcome that very day. God inspired the concept of a chosen people in the Israelites and taught them about the Messiah, planning to restore them through them the victorious national foundation. But that dispensation failed because a relationship of trust and love failed to develop between the Jewish leaders and Jesus. God was forced to choose the Christians as his instrument. So Christianity became the second Israel, shorn of the special blessing and protection that accompanies the chosen people of God. The Jews were ravaged by Satan and walked a rootless, persecuted, and bloody path. Worldwide standard of heart. In the age of the Second Advent, Israel and Korea each established their independence at the same time. Israel, such a tiny nation, fought with the Arab nations and defeated them. Because this is the age of the second coming, Israel can be blessed. 2,000 years ago, Judaism stood in the position to fulfill a central mission for the world. There were Jewish communities throughout the Roman Empire. However, because Jesus was crucified, not only Judaism but Christianity as well lost the foundation for achieving a victory on the earth. The histories of both Judaism and Christianity for the past 2,000 years are stained with blood. As they aspired to open up the spiritual heavenly kingdom, Israel shed its blood in the external sense, and Christianity shed its blood in the internal sense. Together they have been blazing this trail physically and spiritually. In this age of the second coming, we have to solidify the spiritual foundation into a physical foundation. Namely, Christianity has to believe in the Lord of the Second Advent. The Unification Church has pioneered this path by proclaiming that the second coming is at hand. After the liberation of Korea in 1945, when the unification movement started, if established Christianity centered upon the Korean churches had united with and welcomed us, the democratic world would have been safeguarded and would never have become the divided, immoral society it is today. Furthermore, communism would have disappeared from the face of the earth. However, opposition by the established churches blocked our way. Christianity had developed from the individual level to the clan, tribal, national, and world levels. At this crucial time in the providence, the spiritual foundation of Christianity could have been linked with the physical foundation on the earth, centering on the unification movement within 7 years. We contacted people from the highest levels of the Christian churches for this purpose. My job after the liberation of Korea in 1945 was to conclude this dispensation by uniting the churches around the unification movement's goals. But I was bitterly opposed, so all the spiritual foundation of Christianity was lost in the providence. Therefore, I had to begin with no physical foundation. I was left in the basement of the providence. All the conditions set during the 6,000 years of dispensational history were nullified. I cannot say that I have fulfilled my mission on earth until I establish a condition for one worldwide standard of heart and ethics, centering on the land of Korea. Therefore, in order to set this foundation, I have been blazing the trail and expanding this movement without a word of complaint, by receiving and absorbing persecution up until the late 1970s. We have to mature to the extent that we can achieve the victorious standard spiritually and physically by the activity of the unification movement alone, in the event no one helps us. To do this, we cannot live for just the sake of the unification movement. The mission of the unification movement is to set up the ethical standard for a nation before moving on to the worldwide level. We must set it up even if the movement itself is crucified for doing it. That has been our direction throughout the 1970s, the age of the 7-7 couples. I think you understand that the heavenly dispensation is first to fulfill the internal family standard of heart and ethics, and then to advance the national ethical standard. Even if I had made a successful foundation in Korea, because the Christian foundation is on the worldwide level, I have to reach the Christians of the world. Established Korean Christianity opposed me, but British and American Christianity did not at the critical time. Of course, Western Christianity failed to intervene to dispel the persecution, but they did not oppose me directly. The reason I came to America was to free the American Christian world so it could be used more directly by God in His providence today. In the United States, I laid the victorious foundation on the national level in 3 years, 1972, 1973, and 1974. At that time, I received an enthusiastic welcome in all of the American cities I visited. The general public thus welcomed me, although official Christendom did not. Ancient Rome and official Judaism united in opposition to Jesus, but now the situation is different. The general public welcomed me. Christianity opposed us only as a group within society at large. Therefore, I gained a great victory after. On the foundation of this success, I formed the International One World Crusade, HSA-UWC, by bringing members from around the world to Korea. Why did I do this? The standard of spiritual salvation had already been recreated through the warm reception by the American public, but it had to be connected with the physical standard. People had to be inspired to join us in pursuing our goal of restoring the world. Providential history has so often been prolonged. God's dispensation is to fulfill the ideal of restoration centering on families. It aims to create ideal family-type relations on all levels from the individual to the world. Now the unification movement is resolutely marching forward toward family restoration on the world level. The foundation of the blessing. All these things help us to understand God's toil and sacrifice throughout history in order to welcome this one day when fallen man can receive the blessing. Down through the millennia, countless individuals fell by the wayside, and in families, clans, tribes, and nations, billions of sacrifices were made. However, no one could receive the blessing centered upon God. The unification movement had to reach the worldwide level by establishing itself in Japan and the United States after many battles. Now we have entered a very historical, victorious sphere. Before you receive the blessing, you have to see the historical significance of your life. God's dispensation has passed through a sacrificial history of thousands of years to bring you salvation. In God's providence, there were many prophets, many pioneers, and many religious people who made countless sacrifices. All of them were an expression of God's love for you in order to let you stand as a victor today. The history of the Unification Church has been the same. The reason why I worked so hard was to open the way of the blessing to all people, as well as to pioneer the path for full salvation. God has labored tirelessly for the sake of each one of us. We should feel so much gratitude. Even if we offer our entire lives, we can never repay all the debts we owe God. But if we offer everything, God will welcome us as victors in the eternal spirit world, the world of glory. This is an awesome thing. So please be aware that you are the ones who are bearing such a historic responsibility. You are called upon to save the 4 billion people in the world today by yourselves. In order for you to occupy such a responsible position, God has made sacrifices, and each religion has been toiling hard. However, such historical sacrifices will all be rewarded if we embrace and fulfill our responsibilities of faith. You must clearly understand that you have such a central mission. Therefore, if you move, history moves, Japan moves, and the world moves as well. There is another thing to consider. Because Adam and Eve fell, they created the conditions that caused their descendants to shed much blood and to suffer a miserable history. But you must be different. Whatever you do, you should never pass on sins to your descendants. Rather, you should lead them with a new dimension of goodness. Whatever hardships you may endure in your life, try to go forward with gratitude. Harboring anxiety or complaint is a serious matter. You have a mission to liberate 3 ages, the past, the present, and the future. You must leave a thoroughly victorious tradition, so your descendants do not inherit a tradition of indemnity. The blessed position has a most serious significance. The entire human race, past and present, will come to rely on us. It is so inexpressibly valuable that the Messiah has come again and established position of bride and bridegroom to confer the blessing. The responsibility of the child of a great father is to inherit everything from him. Both of them stand on the same central ground, but the scope of their lives is different. The central point that I am standing on and the point you as blessed members will be standing on is the same. There are not 2 points. Please remember this. I have a world-level mission and you have an individual-level mission, but you can expand its scope freely by striving toward the clan level, tribal level, and national or higher levels. You should not put limits on yourself because you are Japanese. The center is the same and the formula for success is the same. In both my family life and your family life. In my clan level life and your clan level life. And our various modes of life on the tribal, national, world, and cosmic levels. The only difference is that you must become a clan Messiah. I should speak at this point about home church, but I don't have time for that now. I have not yet completed the victorious sphere on the world level. I am still fighting and using various strategies at this time. When you reach the world level, you can do everything in the biggest way, so please learn to do things thoroughly where you are now. Please be aware that this is a position you will have in the future. Remember how serious your mission is. If you are laying the foundation for the heavenly kingdom and erecting the pillars for the temple of world goodness. Are your pillars of the best quality? Can they become the pillars that set the standard of goodness? If not, you have no spare time to take a rest or get into arguments or command others imperiously. Man is born for the sake of woman, and woman is born for the sake of man. If you assert your ego, God leaves your marriage. If you respect your spouse, God will come in. A couple should walk together as 2 legs in harmony, balancing each other, not as one unsteady leg. Have you understood the standard that is demanded by the blessing? Your position and mine in relation to that standard are not the same. You are not yet standing on that standard and have not received an inheritance on the family level. What do you have to do in order to stand in that position? You must overcome Satan. Have you overcome Satan? If all of Japan opposed you, I think many of you would run away. In front of God's love, we must be absolutely unchangeable. God is a unique, absolute, and eternal being. Those who speak about the sphere of God's heart as we do must stand on such a artistic position. Those who join the unification movement and then leave and return at their whim are not trustworthy. Only when we seek the absolutely unchangeable, eternally immutable sphere of God's love can He begin to live with us. To do this, we have to develop an unchanging and eternal self that can subjugate Satan. You are not standing in that position yet. To achieve it, you must inherit my victorious standard. The engagement ceremony. In Japan, there are huge buildings. The person whose name appears on the title paper owns the building. You can become the owner of the building through just a piece of paper. For you to inherit everything from me is similar. I achieve all the victories of the restoration of the cosmos and build a wonderful building on the world level, draw up the title papers, and then transfer them to you through the blessing. All of you here are the owners of the building I have erected. Your position comes just like that. It is as though you are all now standing at the same starting line on an athletic field. Try to run as hard as you can. Surely the central tribe of Japan will spring from you. By ourselves, we have no value. We simply preach and try to live the principle. Because of our inheritance, Satan can do nothing. Today we will go through the ceremony of transferring the title papers according to the principle. We receive the blessing upon the promise that we will guard it and leave it as a treasure to our descendants unto thousands of generations. If you violate it, your clan will be in trouble. Therefore, the key point is how to maintain the pure blood lineage that heaven is now bestowing on us. To do this, we have to live with sincerity and heart. Adam and Eve fell in the pure Garden of Eden. Therefore, a crucial issue is how to keep ourselves pure in this sinful world. We face enormous problems, even if we work hard and sacrifice ourselves. We must quickly prepare the social environment so that coming blessed children are not defiled. This is my concern, and we must hurry. There are two ceremonies through which to inherit the pure blood lineage. The first is the engagement ceremony. Why do we have the engagement ceremony? Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden were in a period of engagement. Today, their fallen descendants have multiplied and covered the world. The blessing takes place in such an environment. Our eyes are distracted by so many men and women in the world. The Garden of Eden contained only Adam, Eve, and the archangel. The archangel fell and became Satan. Accordingly, we have to gain victory over Satan. But to gain such victory, we must know what kind of being he is. Satan failed to unite with God and instead devoured love, centering on himself. We are different. We practice love, centering on God. All men and women in the secular world are in the position to follow Adam and Eve, sons and daughters of Satan. Therefore, the problem is how to transform such men and women into God's sons and daughters. It is done by the principle, which teaches that when the perfect Adam arrives, the perfect Eve is restored. When the perfect plus appears, the perfect minus automatically manifests itself. This is the principle of creation. When someone becomes a perfect minus, the perfect plus will appear. Notice that the population of men and women in the human race is about the same. The wisdom of heaven and earth decreed that. Likewise, Air circulates freely in order to maintain atmospheric balance. When the perfect man is born, the perfect woman is supposed to be born. When the Bible says that a woman was made from Adam, it is symbolic of this point. You are fallen, Adam and Eve. Because of the fall, you are advancing toward the realm of perfection from a fallen condition. There is no way to overcome the sphere of indemnity except through the perfected Adam. This is the principle. This perfected Adam must be the substantial object of God's love. He must stand on that standard. The Lord of the Second Advent comes in order to realize this position. So he is the perfect Adam. He comes as the magnet to attract all people, centering on love. A minus magnet is pulled by a plus magnet, even if somebody demands that it stop. A minus magnet even has the power to attract a plus magnet. The principle of restoration is the same. Adam and Eve fell after their engagement. After engagement, people must symbolically pass through this dispensation of restoration. We hold the holy wine ceremony to create the perfect man through a woman who has been reborn as the perfect minus or perfect Eve. The holy wine ceremony sets a condition for spiritual restoration. A woman is reborn spiritually, and then Adam is reborn spiritually through her. 40 days after the blessing, there is an indemnity ceremony for substantial restoration that ordinarily takes 3 days. The 40 days is an interval of historic indemnity. In the formation and growth periods, people do not have the authority to make restorations centering on love. Only after entering the completion period is that possible. Therefore, Adam's era and the next are the ages of failure. As a result, people could not fully inherit the sphere of God's love on the formation level, Old Testament age, or the growth stage centering on Jesus. Yet only by inheriting the sphere of God's love on the formation and growth stages can people enter the sphere of the completed Testament age. The indemnity ceremony has a significance of spiritually accomplishing this inheritance. The first day is to restore the Old Testament age or fallen Adam. The second day is to complete Jesus' mission and restore the New Testament age. In the completed Testament age, represented by the third day, the man stands as the bridegroom in the place of Jesus and recreates the bride. Then for the first time, he can assume his proper position as a restored Adam. Restoration requires such concrete and specific indemnity conditions. The holy wine ceremony. Jesus said of the bread and wine, "This is my body, this is my blood." The holy wine has a similar meaning. Through the holy wine ceremony, we set the condition through which we become one with true parents. A person who has become one with true parents cannot become one with Satan. For eternity, he is cut off from Satan. From now on, you must have the determination to create the new ideal heavenly kingdom as restored Adam and Eve's in the eternal Garden of Eden. Why do we hold the holy wine ceremony? Adam and Eve were living in the period of engagement before the fall. So we must restore that period without any possibility of accusation by Satan. If Adam and Eve had been blessed in marriage by God and had loved each other, God's will would have been completed. But they could not fulfill this. The order of love was reversed when people began to love themselves more than God or each other. That must be corrected. This is called the changing of blood lineage, or the ceremony for the reversal of dominion of Adam. Eve lost Adam by the fall. Therefore, she cannot regain her intended spouse before God unless she humbly places Adam in the position of parent. Then God can make him her husband. Up until now, women have suffered and endured much throughout history. Japanese women especially have had a miserable history. All women became the prey of men, who after the fall took the position of fallen archangels. We are going to restore this. What is holy wine? It contains a portion of all things that cannot be accused by Satan. If a person who has received this holy wine and has become one with true parents profanes it, it is a very grave matter. His position becomes even worse than Satan. Satan profaned and violated the completion sphere of the growth stage. But how can an unfaithful, blessed person be forgiven when he has violated not only the completion sphere, but also the substance of God? It is a terrible thing. You may not have known this, but now you can understand clearly by listening to this principled explanation. To fall is a very serious matter. After we finish the third 7-year course, this will be truly strict. Our war is against the betrayal of love. If you do have the confidence to be true to your intended spouse, it is better for you not to participate in this ceremony. Because the principle solves things, Satan is completely defeated by me. A man who has found the secret of history and stands on the substantial, victorious foundation of world restoration is a thorn in the side of the satanic world. For many years, Satan challenged me in whatever way he wished. He tried in so many ways to defeat me. I never really took the offensive until 1976. In that year, for the first time, I made a new start. With the declaration of this new start, the age was changed. Until now, our strategy has been conservative. But we have entered into the age when Cain pays indemnity for Abel, leaving behind the age in which Abel pays indemnity for Cain. The restoration will go faster from now on. In the past, Satan corrupted good people and took them into hell. From now on, we will restore those who were ruined and usher them into the kingdom of heaven. Our path is clear. We are going toward the heavenly kingdom. There are various levels along the way. The individual, family, clan, tribal, national, world, and cosmic levels. Every level, in turn, must be sacrificed in order to reach the next level. Finally, we must gain the level of God's heart, even if we have to sacrifice a cosmic level. God's heart is the eternal level, where everything is completed. Everything follows this formula. I know very well how difficult the restoration has been. When I think how severe and burdensome it has been, I cannot feel even if I were ordered to do so. You may think the blessing is a light thing, that you are entitled to it after 2 or 3 years, but it is never such an easy matter. Yeah, I want you, 1,610 couples, to become families that God can admire by living a sincere life with all your might. To be blessed is a serious thing. Viewed from dispensational history, God's central thought is to recreate the pure, sinless family of Adam and Eve. That family will be the model. In an industry, once a prototype is made, thousands or millions more can be manufactured. I've been working tremendously hard until now in order to create that prototype. The focus of God's dispensation is the family of the Messiah, the family restored Adam and Eve, the victorious family beyond the realm of the fall. The central focus of man is to surmount the realm of the fall and to form the family centering on love within the realm of heavenly victory. So the focal points of God and man are really the same. You were born in the course of fallen history, but you have attained the goal of mankind. How precious and valuable that is. Never before has it been achieved. Such a blessing is based upon the clear contents of the theory of restoration. We have entered into a wonderful era. We must therefore think about the nature of the family in a new way. The family Suzuki, for example, is not only the immediate family of one individual, Mr. Suzuki. It is a historical central lineage that may last for a millennia. A clan-level foundation. The perfection of Adam's family was to be start of the perfection of the clan, society, and nation, and beginning of the heavenly kingdom. You're about to enter the level on which you can fulfill your clan-level mission, centering on your mission, on your family. I have a world-level mission, but the central point we are standing on is the same. Jesus did not achieve the clan-level foundation. Therefore, he did not marry. You must understand this clearly. If Jesus' mission had been initiated successfully, centering on John the Baptist's family, forming the clan-level foundation, the heavenly kingdom would have been created, even if Jesus did not witness and only did carpentry work. All he really had to do was form the family four-position foundation by having children. For that purpose, Jesus did not need to trust himself to fickle crowds and expose himself to persecution. If he had gradually erected conditions to indemnify providential history, centering on the four-position foundation, his life would not have been so miserable, nor his death so untimely. He could have completed these conditions step by step, slowly but surely making his foundation. Had he formed the family foundation and had children, Christianity would have been far different. The world would have come under the influence of Jesus, centering on his direct descendants. But all these foundations were never realized. Jesus died without having the clan-level family foundation. Therefore, we must restore it by paying indemnity at the risk of our lives. This is the way of the unification movement, which is blazing the path of salvation for all people. The 3-year course and the 7-year course are the standard course until the completion of the heavenly kingdom on earth. You cannot ignore this destiny. You have a course for 3 years before marriage and 7 years after marriage. Jesus was to build his family in his 3-year course and to accomplish his 7-year course. In our case, we restore 3 disciples and then 12 disciples within 3 years. Then bless them and walk the 7-year course. This is the view of the principle. Jesus wanted to establish a foundation upon which he could expand his mission through the nation of Israel to the world. We must embrace all the things that Jesus did not accomplish and restore them by paying indemnity. This is our mission, our 5% responsibility, which symbolically encompasses all of history. Centering upon these coming 7 years, you should successfully witness to 84 people, one person per month. This is part of the clan level sphere centering on 12 apostles and 72 disciples. The 72 tribal elders are the tribal leaders. If you accomplish this, you can have 12 apostles on the clan level, 3 of them being a foundation for the family level. Our mission is still to establish a foundation of substance by working with sweat and tears, spiritually and physically, in the place of Jesus, even if we are crucified substantially on the family level. Therefore, the Unification Church, even if we are married, we are still going the way of the cross on the family level in order to accomplish this mission. Do you understand this? Jesus was resurrected after the crucifixion and gathered followers and made a spiritual start centering on the 12 apostles and 72 disciples. If we do not accomplish such a foundation while we're still on the earth, the bridge connecting us to the heavenly kingdom will dissolve, and we'll have to fight hard to find it again. This is the meaning of the 7-year course. We must witness to one person per month, 84 people in all. This is the formula. I'm not just picking numbers at random. The first goal is 3 disciples. In the restoration of Adam's family, 8 people form a family. In order to protect that family, we must have 12 brothers representing the 12 children of Jacob. They become the foundation of the clan. That clan is expanded and becomes a foundation of the tribe. The central figures for leading that tribal foundation are the 72 elders. Had they taken responsibility to guide people centering on Jesus, he would never have been crucified. This failure still remains in the course of restoration. There are then 36 families, which actually represent 3 eras with 12 families in each era, followed by 72, 124, 430, 777, and 1800. Since 3 times 6 is 18, the 18 couple blessing establishes a condition to transcend the sphere of Satan, to go beyond his reach. You must follow this path absolutely. If we do not take responsibility for the world's sins and pay indemnity for them on the world level, the national foundation of Abel's sphere will be lost. To gain victory means to make the world level advances in Abel's sphere. This is our home church activity centered on 360 homes. I already planned this 2 years ago. From now on, we will be totally involved in it. Those who do not have a home church area will have no way to pursue restoration through indemnity. Because Jesus did not establish his own family, his disciples could not be blessed in marriage or begin a home church. Even if you worked 3 years ago in London or in New York, Satan does not recognize it unless you do home church work. Even God cannot recognize it either. Because God gained a victorious foundation, I am able to form tribes centering upon home church. We can take the offensive in the world centering upon home church, centering upon tribes. Such a foundation was laid. We must subjugate Cain in order to establish home church. The Cain type individual, the Cain type family, clan, tribe, and nation. We cannot return to our homeland unless we pay the indemnity on the world level through home church. Up until now, those who led a religious life left their homes and served society, sacrificing themselves in pursuit of the ideal of heaven. You also left your homes, didn't you? I did the same. I know how wonderful and precious the principle is. So I wanted to teach the principle to my own parents and brothers and sisters first, before anybody else. But God's dispensation is not the dispensation to save Abel. God's dispensation is to save Cain by offering Abel. That is why precious things are given to Cain, not to Abel. This is the principle. I sacrificed all my life without buying a single piece of clothing for my own mother. I did so many things for all of mankind, but could hardly do anything for my own children. We are supposed to return to our homeland after we establish a home church conditioned on the individual, family, clan, tribe, nation, and world levels. We are now on the road of return. And Abel is known by his love. This year I bought clothes and gifts for mother and the children. Even though I bought them, it does not violate the principle. Japanese leaders, aren't you teaching a principle that I do not teach when you say, I am Abel because I am a church leader? You are Cain. Cain obeys Abel. This is the principle, so obey. There is no such principle. The person who does not fulfill his mission and become the embodiment of love is not Abel. People automatically and naturally bow before the power of love. The same holds true on the family, clan, or tribal level. So if the unification movement is the Abel movement on the world level, it must gain victory by shedding blood on the world level, and it must gain Satan's signature on the certificate of victory. Only then can the unification movement become the Abel on the world level for the first time. Actually, Eve stands in Abel's position at the moment of restoration. So for 3 years, you husbands should absolutely follow your wife. Japanese civilization is a copycat of the rest of the world. Therefore, Japan should not keep things for herself. If she doesn't use them for the sake of the world, Japan will be ruined. The Japanese who join the Unification Church must become heavenly citizens. Heavenly citizens are the people who set the ethical standard for the sake of all people. It may be better for each of you to work separately from your wife so you can develop yourself and she can respect you properly when you get together. The 3-year course after the blessing is such a period. Even if you are blessed, you still must fulfill the historical indemnity condition, finding 3 and then 12 apostles and 72 disciples. You must think seriously about that. You have no qualification to be blessed, but I'm giving you the blessing anyway. Since this blessing is your home, if you profane it, you have to restore it at the risk of your life. Although you have no qualifications to receive the blessing, you can inherit everything as the children of two parents, because you are standing in a position to have your name on the title papers. Because of this principle of the heavenly world, your blessing is possible. Your challenge is to transcend the realm of Adam and Eve's fall. Climb up the shoulders of true parents and leap from there toward God and all people. Hell may lie below you, but God and all the people in the spirit world will immediately support you. Do husband and wife belong to themselves? No, they belong to God and the universe. Love is not yours. It belongs to God and to the human race. So during these next 3 years, run for the sake of God. Run, cultivating your heart of love. When you love your wife, the daughter of God, love her with the heart with which you adore God. If your love is not strong enough, God will not be moved. If people around you do not consider your family exemplary, it is because your love is still not vibrant enough. When a woman loves her husband, she should love him with the heart with which she adores God. If the give and take of love within a family can move God, the 4-position foundation is formed and the family will prosper. If we spin a toy top, keeping the pivot straight, it will spin well. But if we make the pivot unsteady, it wobbles. So if we create a family with a steady and an unchanging standard of love, not only spiritually healthy children, but wonderful grandchildren can be assured. So if you want to have a good child, make your love top spin straight. Then everything will be solved. You must form a family of 4 positions centering upon such love. A person forms a 4-position foundation thinking about heaven, all people, and his spouse. Thus heaven, mankind, and husband and wife are united. Adam and Eve fell without setting such a standard. Therefore, first of all, we must each strive to set this standard. Our goal is to love heaven and all people, enhancing our love by sacrificing ourselves. Please remember that you are blessed for this purpose. If you do this, you will be free from accusation by the realm of the fall. This is a principled point of view. The fallen world is centered upon itself. People forgot about things such as God's love, the human race, descendants, all things, the universe, and so on. But we were created to think about these things. We have 7 years to achieve the standard of perfection in the completed stage. We prepare for the blessing for 3 years and find 3 disciples, establishing the foundation of indemnity modeled on Jesus' course. This fulfills the messianic mission on the tribal level. Therefore, we are not working for the sake of the Japanese Unification Church, but for the sake of the nation. I am working for the sake of the nation. I am 1 step ahead of you and have been working busily to prepare the way by doing engineering work, as it were, building bridges and laying tracks so you can follow. Satan corrupted Eve at the time of the fall, but at the time of restoration, Eve must be pulled up to the level of perfection through the holy wine ceremony. The next dispensation must take place through this restored Eve. You men, who were fallen archangels before the holy wine ceremony, have become restored archangels, but you still need to inherit the blood lineage as children of God. Before the fall, Adam was the son of God. To be restored, he can become an adopted son by being grafted through a restored woman, and then can finally bear fruit. This is our strategy. By which principle is this possible? Since an archangel fell by Eve, he can be recreated by a restored Eve, regaining his original position through the payment of indemnity. Heavenly Father, we are here laying the victorious basis for the restoration of Eve. We need the spiritual foundation by which we can restore the bridegroom as the eternal spouse. I long for you to bless these couples so that they can stand in the position of children who can be born anew, centering on this holy wine. I pray you will protect them so that they can be reborn and can victoriously subjugate the realm of restoration by indemnity and follow the path which leads to your love in the coming 3 years. Please protect them. I pray gratefully in the true parent's name. Amen. This video is a production of the School of the White Crane. My name is John Brooken. You could reach me through commentary on this video or through my Gmail listed here. Please share this video with family and friends and on social media. May God richly bless you, my beloved.